For a better understanding, we're joined from Cairo by the International Relations Specialist, Dr. Muhammad Osman. Dr. Osman, welcome to our special coverage here on Q News. What are the immediate escalation risks on the Syria, Lebanon and Gaza axis if reported Israeli strikes and overflights continue near Qnews and Damascus countryside?
Thank you for having me, Hani. Greetings to you and to your audience. Of course, we seem to see rising trends of Israel's rising rates of escalation and violations, whether in Gaza, Lebanon, or Syria. We see one-sided ceasefires in Lebanon and in Gaza, where Hezbollah and Hamas and the other factions are upholding their end of the ceasefire, while Israel, of course, continues to incessantly carry out attacks leading to multiple victims and further destruction. And in Syria, of course, it has been a one-sided affair since the beginning, since the fall of the Assad regime, ranging from land grabs to airstrikes to the destruction of some pivotal military infrastructure. However, what happened in Beijing the other day was a significant escalation, because for the first time, and of course it's a village in the Damascus countryside, when the Israelis carried out their incursion, the locals actually decided to resist the Israelis, and a firefight erupted. And of course, Israel, being brutal as ever, responded in the most gruesome, disgusting manner, and excuse my choice of words over here, because it basically led to a massive bombardment of the village and the death of over 20 people, including women and children. And of course, now the Israelis are signifying that this might be the beginning of a new escalation in Syria. They have changed their rules of engagement, saying that now they will deal lethally with any perceived threat, and also that they might even, according to the Israeli media at least, some elements within the Israeli cabinet or the Israeli government and security establishment do have the conviction that those who carried out the attack against the Israeli occupiers in the village of the Damascus countryside were connected one way or the other with the Syrian intelligence. And of course, this is something that Syria denies. Syria has condemned Israel's behavior. However, it seems that the Israelis now are trying to take advantage of this incident in order to pressure the new Syrian administration further, so that they can agree to the conditions of Israel's proposed security agreement, which basically compromises Syria's sovereignty over its southern provinces, which includes even parts of the southern countryside of the capital, Damascus. So unfortunately, this is the situation we are in at the moment, Hani.
Yes, well, how much do these incidents intersect with the 1974 disengagement agreement and UNDOF's mandate? What remedies would be available if boundaries are seriously tested?
The problem sometimes, Hani, is that we do not pay attention to what Netanyahu said and what the Israeli leaders say. Many Arab countries are still speaking about the 1974 agreement as if it's still there. One of the main prerequisites of the existence of any given treaty or any legal document, binding document between both countries, is the voluntary upholding or obligation of each party to that treaty. That's not the case anymore. Netanyahu has declared in December 2024, last year, about a year ago, roughly, he declared that the 1974 agreement for Israel is null and void. He did not say we suspended it. He did not say that we are suspending certain provisions. He said that this agreement is null and void for Israel. So Israel is acting as if it does not exist anymore, and is insisting on a new security agreement instead of that disengagement agreement that could be put in its place, and also it has to include a pathway for future peace and normalization with the Syrian side. This is how the Israelis see it, and unfortunately, this is how the United States sees it as well. Mm-hmm. The United States has reportedly not been very content with Israel's maximalist aims. However, they have not been willing, as of late, to apply any pressure on the Israelis in order for them to at least loosen a bit their stances on or their conditions for any agreement with Syria.
Mm-hmm. Well, Denmark's Minister Rasmussen spoke of lifting sanctions and possible investment. What would a partial or full sanctions rollback mean for Syria's reintegration? How might this affect regional security dynamics if it does happen?
Well, of course, the lifting of sanctions will help the recovery of Syria. It will further enhance the economic stability of the country. The country has been isolated from the global economy over the past 14 years due to the civil war and what happened during that time. Now there seems to be the West is really eager to reintegrate Syria back into the international community because they view this from a geopolitical perspective. They view Syria changing sides, or at least so they believe, from the pro-Iranian, pro-Russian camp to a country that has friendly relations with Europe and the United States is something that needs to be safeguarded. And they do believe that the stability of Syria is directly linked to economic stability, and economic stability can only be attained by lifting those sanctions. The United States has taken very serious steps in that direction, and so did the European Union itself as an entity. So it doesn't surprise me that Denmark, as an EU member, is taking the same direction. However, Syria, of course, the security situation in Syria has to improve first, and the country has to stay united, and the government has to restore control over its territories, whether it's under secessionist movements or the Israeli occupation, before they can actually move forward with any recovery of any sort.
Yes, definitely. And we've seen what's been happening at Bij and other surrounding areas. From Cairo, that was the International Relations Specialist, Dr. Mohammed Osman. Dr. Osman, always a pleasure having you with us here on Q News. As this hour closes, the stakes remain stark. Cairo presses for a just peace, grounded in the June 4th, 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as the capital, while Gaza counts new losses despite a ceasefire. At the UN, the call is for an irreversible path to two states, dignity and accountability. Now, across the north, Damascus warns of a slide towards wider confrontation as European voices weigh sanctions, investment, and serious recovery. The region stands at a hinge point. Choices made now will shape lives and borders for years yet to come. For more stories and live updates, please stay tuned for more coming up here on Q News. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for watching.